Greetings from Centre Parks, by the way. That's the background. I hope you're all well. This is just ridiculous, though, isn't it?
Oh, are you fucking having me on? Are you joking me right now? That's how deep that. This is how far they reach. Let me smoke that for you, Siri Merchant. Yeah. Let me smoke that for you, Ted Lassaboli. Yeah. You think you can fool us? You're a long way from Starbucks, mate. Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Let's have it right.
Some people will be like, Benson, shut up. You're an armchair fan. You live the other side of the world and you brown envelopes from the club. First things first. No, I'm not. This is all just flipping rubbish that people come out with because they've got no legitimate argument to come at and say, like, they disagree with an opinion or whatever. It's just cheap. It's pathetic.
Either way, I can come out and say this because I've been paid by Chelsea Football Club at times to work on certain projects. And I can tell you now, there is certain things that you just can't say about Chelsea, specifically painting the club in any kind of negative light. So the intentions of painting Chelsea Football Club in the best light possible, even if we're losing on the pitch and even if the owners don't know what they're doing and they're alienating the fan base. That's the truth.
Minerals FC mudded me. I couldn't give a shit about that guy. Just decides to call people out for no reason.
So have it right, up the Chelsea, up the Minerals FC. Big up to every single one of you live and locked in. Hope everyone's doing well. We're in live. First and foremost, I want you all to smash to pieces that like button. If you haven't smashed it, smash it right now. If you haven't subscribed to Minerals FC, make sure you do that. We've got the notification bell ding dong, so right, so you know when we go live. And we've got the Minerals FC Ultras membership pinned at the top live chat and down below in the description, as is Rumble. Let's have it right. And salute to all the Minerals FC Ultras. Salute to our Chelsea old boy. We see things they'll never see. No surrender mentality. And big up to everyone live and locked in. And let's have it right. Salute to my chat. I want the chat to Land and Minerals. Get involved. And salute to Steve G coming on. Proper Chelsea. Literally Chelsea heritage. Once again, let's have it right, Steve. I hope you've had a lovely Christmas and welcome on the platform again, my geezer.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate the warm welcome. Yeah, Christmas has been good so far. Today is a day of leisure. I've sent all the family away so I can enjoy playing with the cars, having the control of the TV, and doing what the fuck I want.
Let's go. Obviously, for everyone knowing, what were you doing? Were you dealing with a clutch or something when I messaged you about coming on? He was old. You know, he had the motor racked up, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's it. I was out in the man cave. The car's up on axle stands. For anyone that don't know, I've got a Sierra Cosworth, so I was dropping the gearbox out and doing a clutch change. I thought it'd be a 5-minute job because I've done it before, but of course, cold, older, fatter. It didn't go according to plan. When the phone went, I thought, fuck it.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't cause any damage, geezer. You know,
no, you're all right. The phone didn't go in the oil and all that, so you're all good.
Yeah. But listen, so have it right. Chelsea played Fulham yesterday, as we all know. It's the aftermath. Still don't feel good about it. I know you don't, and I know the Ultras don't. I don't think anyone at Chelsea does. But I think like let's sort of set the tone. Why don't you give a little backstory on how it was back in the day for yourself against the Fulham lot? What kind of a derby it was? You know what I'm saying? Because they've been giving a lot of bigging the other day. So how would you enlighten everyone with how it was?
To be fair, Fulham didn't really have a firm. It was more banter. It's got a little bit different nowadays because obviously London is no longer full of people that were born and brought here. So the rivalry as such has changed a little bit, the dynamic. Now, for those that don't know, I grew up 3 roads away from Chelsea in a road called Ifield Road. So my view out of my bedroom window used to be Stamford Bridge. So that's why I am who I am and the team that I support. But some of my family were Fulham supporters, to their discredit. But literally, the moment the game kicked off, I hated them. And it was as simple as that. And quite frankly, if it came to blows, if need be, it would have. After the full-time whistle was a different story. But during the game, they was my enemy. And I think it worked a lot for people like that back in the day that had families that supported clubs so close together. I even have a couple of uncles that are QPR supporters. Thank God they're no longer in the Prem, otherwise there would have been blood all over the shop. But no, it's changed a lot. I mean, it's more banter. I think they had every right to rub it in our noses. Obviously, a 45-year record has been broken on Maresca's watch, which I'm not happy about. So they've gone online and they give it a bit of chest, which, let's face it, if the shoe was on the other foot, I think we'd do the same. So I'm not angry with them for that. I'm just more disappointed that our so-called coach and team didn't give the game enough respect that it deserved. And they've left us with egg on our face, with the Gooners kicking off in an hour or two. And they are likely to leapfrog us up into second place. And then we've got Forest snapping at our heels now, just a point behind. So we've gone from a massive lead to suddenly teams in red above and below. It's not good.
No, it ain't good. And to be honest with you, everyone, all the usual toxic positivity merchants or the ones on the old payroll, they're all going on about, we haven't lost since October. It's our third loss only. Everyone's having a panic. And this and that. It's not about losing just 3 games. It's great using 3 games, but it's who you lose them to, and it's in the manner in which you lose them. And for me personally, yesterday was outright embarrassing to be at home against a team that hasn't beaten us for 45 years, hasn't even scored a goal at our ground since 2011. And we just allowed them in the last, 20 minutes of the game to get back in the game and literally come from behind 1-0 down and beat us 2-1. It's just like, what's going on? Like, how can you spin that as being positive in any way? You can't deflect from that.
It's not, and how it works on social media. Suddenly there's stories about, we're looking at this player and that player, possibly selling this person. Then they're talking about academy. There's anything to smokescreen the fact of what a shit show they've put on in the last 2 games. Now, I know a lot of people can't blame Maresca entirely for what's gone down, because at the end of the day, the players are the ones out on the pitch. But I would say his in-game management is at fault for the last 2 games. And as such, in turn, have caused the results to be what they are. He's not made changes when he's needed to. He's stubborn. He's pig-headed. And he's basically doing what all of the Leicester fans I know told me he would do. Which just came a bit early for us. Let's hope it doesn't pan out to be deja vu from how it went with Leicester last season.
Yeah, facts. And you know what? Everyone's like, all the Leicester lot have been saying he's stubborn. He doesn't change his ways. He's called out or brought into trying to instill this culture mentality that if you're not performing or you're not at the levels that I expect you to be at, you're not going to play. All right. So he's been doing that with Madueke. He's coming out. Obviously, he turned up late for training or whatever the reason is. He's not training well. His attitude isn't what I like anyway. He's proven that in game as well with penalty disputes and this and that, and the arrogance levels for not actually delivering anything. I think this season he's been average, literally. So if you pin it on Madueke, you look at the João Felix situation, which I'm going to elaborate on because we've got some more minerals to land on that. But if he's so set in stone with this whole idea, if you're not performing, you're not training to the level I want, you're not going to play, you're not going to be even on the bench, then why the fuck is Sanchez playing every game? I want to ask that question, because yesterday it was also Enzo Fernandez who gave a shit ball in the middle, deflected off their player, and then they go on and it goes back to Sanchez. Sanchez just boots it out with no pressure whatsoever, and gives it straight to them for them to score the winning goal. It's down to Sanchez's mistake The midfield was weak. And this is why I think, Steve, we are having these results over the last couple of games is because we don't have Lavia. And Enzo Maresca knows that Lavia in the middle of the park gives us that balance and stability and protection and always keeps us in the game with Caicedo. Caicedo was all over the pitch like a headless chicken yesterday, and he's burnt out. He's playing 90 minutes of every Premier League game. And they're all human beings. I know he's only playing one game a week because he's not playing Conference League or any cup competitions. But even still, with the amount of work that he puts in for the team, he's going to get burnt out. And we're not even, just coming up to halfway of the season. And you could see yesterday, he was doing all the dog work for Enzo Fernandez in the middle. Because I love Cole Palmer, but he doesn't give you that dig in as a number 10. He's not that type of number 10. So that's why we're giving opportunities to teams like Fulham and Everton to stay in the game with us, but also Fulham beat us. And that's a worry sign for me, because that shows you there is no squad depth when everyone's going, we've got loads of squad depth, well, our squad's better than Arsenal, our squad's better than fucking Liverpool, it's better than everyone. It's a load of waffle, because it's clear as day, he can't afford to drop Caicedo. He can't even afford to drop Enzo Fernandez at the moment because there's no one else to replace them. But that's why we lost the game yesterday, in my opinion. We know our defence is frail. We know our goalkeeper's pants, yeah? But the midfield is the reason we've been in games up to this point is because of Caicedo, who's been our most important player and pivotal in keeping us in the game with Lavia. Since Lavia's gone, I can see the deficiencies. I can see how we're slower as well. If you notice, our pressing wasn't as relentless as it has been in the past. Our quickness in play hasn't been speedy enough. And then you allow these other teams. But the one key thing, bruv, is they didn't give us a mistake away. None of the defenders gave us a sloppy pass. Their goalkeeper didn't panic. Their wingers didn't give the ball away. They kept the ball very well. That's why we couldn't capitalise on anything. And that's another red flag there. It's already. So if Enzo Maresca is saying Madueke, technical decision to not play him because he said something, he's done something in training, whatever it is, he's turned up late, right? Then you need to paint everyone with that same brush if they're giving that. If there are other players acting like Madueke, then they're not performing, as you say. Sancho hasn't performed for now 2 to 3 games. He hasn't performed. Neto did nothing yesterday. Jackson hasn't performed for 2 games, 100%. So why we keep playing these players? And Sanchez, another one. Gusto's had a stinker. So I don't buy into what Maresca's saying. I don't think he's standing by that. And it's like it's one rule for you and another for the other players. And you can't do that. And I think players will cling on to that and they'll go, well, hold on a minute. He's not performing yet. You're playing him every game. You know what I'm saying? He might not be trained at the level you want, but you're still picking him. So why is it any different with me? You cause a divide. And maybe there is something going on behind the scenes now, Steve, where you've got players that are unhappy, i.e. Felix and Nkunku, Madueke. You know what I'm saying? Jackson. Has anyone thought why Jackson's maybe not performing to what we've seen a little bit? Is because all he can see on the timeline, because all these kids are social media mad. Yeah, they watch everything, as John Obi Mikel's let us know, like the owners. Well, is he not seeing that we're looking for a striker? And then he's thinking, well, why are you looking for a striker if I'm the main striker? And then Nkunku's going, why are you looking for a striker? Because I'm a backup. But then Nkunku's not even a striker. I don't even see Jackson as a striker.
No, not at all.
I see them as playing with a striker. And Nkunku's even come out and said, I don't like to play on the flanks really. And I'm not really a number 9. I'm more of a behind the number 9 player. Well, how many of those have we got? Felix, Nkunku, Cole Palmer. Like, they all can't play.
No, of course not.
Hall. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to throw that out, Steve, because I think people are misunderstanding that it's very good for Maresca if he is putting a stamp on things. I like that. And there's nothing wrong with a gaffer doing that. All right. But you need to treat everyone the same. And
Yeah,
I don't see that. I don't see the
Nah.
consistency, bro.
No, I totally agree with you. In fact, it's obvious he's not, because there's some players which we know are undroppable. Whether he wants to or not, he's no doubt getting a tap on the shoulder from his mate Ed Barley going, no, he plays. Because they're still interfering. We know all of the madness they've been doing over the past 2 seasons hasn't gone away. It's just hidden underneath whatever Maresca is doing. He's doing exactly what Poch did. He's talking a great game. He's talking tough with players. Now, with some players, you can get away with that. Other players, you're not. These are kids. And I don't know about you, but what kids I've interacted with, anywhere between the age of 16 and, let's say, 21, you tell them they can't do something, they turn around. Nowadays, because of the respect issue, they'll tell you to jog on. Yeah. And they'll get the ump about it. And, you know, they'll do whatever it takes, throwing dummies out the pram or a bit of gossiping, staying up late, having a few beers. But how would Maresca have handled someone like Hazard? Could you imagine him saying, I'm not dropping you because you're not training, you're turning up late, and then every time I see you, you've got a Big Mac hanging out your mouth? You know? So, Madueke, I totally agree. He's not consistent, but he gives us an option if he's on the bench.
Correct. To
drop him totally and cut him dead, you're cutting off your own nose.
Yeah. And that's going to cause problems going forward. And this is
my
point, right? Is I'm going to get onto Felix because I think this adds something behind the scenes that people are not understanding. Is Enzo Maresca, up to this point, has done very well to manage the squad of players and the amount of players he's got. But the only reason he's got away with that is because we've got Conference League. He can afford, in that competition, to drop the majority of the first team players and give them rest and play the other players to keep them happy to get some minutes. But if you were playing Europa League or you're playing Champions League, you're not doing that because you can't, because the opposition is too strong. And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the best opportunity for Chelsea right now to be in a title race, to actually go toe-to-toe with the Dippers, yeah? Let's have it right. Everyone else ain't performing. Everyone else is nowhere, like City, United, Spurs, Villa at this point. Newcastle are creeping up, but they'll fall off again. Nottingham Forest will fall off. So who's there to chase you? Just Arsenal, the bottle jobs? You know what I'm saying? Phase 5 merchants. Liverpool are steaming away with it. They're running away with it.
Yeah,
and this is what I'm saying. Maresca's coming out going, oh, we're not in a title race. We're not in a title race. Well, why the fuck ain't we? 1.5 billion spent. You're saying this squad's fantastic. You're saying we've got an amazing group of players. We're playing well. We're on form. We're bagging points. We're winning games. Why are we not in the title race if we're sitting second and only so many points behind Liverpool? Where's the mentality to say, no, we can, and instill it in these players and make them believe that they can go and win it? Even if you don't believe it, make the supporters believe it. Make everyone believe it. Because deep down, he knows we ain't got it.
I totally agree.
I think it's weak. It's weak mentality.
The thing is, our players know that because it was there to see when they went in at the 11th hour to try and get the Osimhen deal done. You know, so they knew they wanted him and they had a reason for wanting to sign him, but they didn't do it. And it was their fuck up, 100%. You know, at the end of the day, they went in with an insulting offer to someone like Osimhen who was willing to drop his wages, Chelsea fan, you know, everything was going in our favour. And then they go in and they insult the geezer. So I totally respect the fact he's now got the right arse with Chelsea FC. And it's probably the last destination he wants to go to now. Because now suddenly there's a lot more options on the table for when he gets out of the Turkish league. And that's on Chelsea for that. So at the start of the season, they knew we needed an elite striker. So they went for him and fucked it. Now, what they're saying, they'll settle for Jackson. And you've got Maresca going, oh, Jackson's the number one. It's all contradictory. There's no consistency. I think Jackson, personally, he's okay as a squad player, but he probably needs a trip to Specsavers because he needs to realise what the goal looks like. Because for the amount of chances he misses, we could be clear out of sight in so many games. And this is where
So-
Maresca earns his money, because he should make changes earlier when he sees things are not going to plan.
Oh, he's
So
allergic to sub, isn't he, Steve? Clearly.
Yeah. This is,
You know what I mean?
He's leaving it to the 11th hour in games to change things, at which point no one can warm into the game. And in
And that
yesterday's
tells me,
game,
that tells me he doesn't trust what he's got. He doesn't
100%.
trust it. So this leads me on to, when you've got a situation like Madueke, you've got a situation with Felix right now. Now, Gillian Belag is close mates with Maresca. He's La Liga reporter. He's on Sky Sports. He's well known, bruv. He knows his stuff. He came out. Ironically, they put it out today. But it was 2 weeks ago on YouTube. He says, "I've talked to the director of football, ownership, and Maresca himself at the time where everyone was having a go at Chelsea. The club basically want Enzo to be the coach of the players they give him. They only want the only player he perhaps wasn't so convinced by was João Felix. But the club said, please take him. We know you're going to make him better. And the rest of the players are the ones he wanted. You cannot tell me that all the other players, at least 42 players, that he wants them all, when we're hearing the Wedding Hall player is the one that you played under him under Leicester, and they want to get rid of him in January. They tried to sell Cucurella and Madueke in the summer. They want to get rid of Badashile and Disasi, but yet they're telling everyone we trust in the defence and the goalkeeper, and we don't believe the narrative that's going about that we need to rectify the defence and goalkeeper. Yeah, you're telling me that Maresca didn't want Osimhen when he did, and he called him twice. Let's have it right, but wanted to keep Jackson. No, that's what the owners wanted. Let's have it right. So he hasn't got any decisions. See, now you're trying to shoehorn that he didn't want João Felix. And then it comes on, he says, the club have said to him, if he wants a player, let him know. But the player has to be under 24 years of age, as the club wants to create this squad of hungry players that have the ability to improve. In other words, we want to improve their stocks and sell them for profit. So the younger they are, the more time, the longer contracts, so we can spread the payments. Same old shit. He's basically saying what I've been saying and what we say on this platform, and yet people they dismiss it. Now, Enzo Maresca is basically, in terms of everything, really, he's a yes man. And that's what he is. And as I think he's trying to fight against that. But he realizes I have to play all these players. Now, João Felix was the only reason they bought João Felix, because he was never on the menu. Yeah, was to sell Conor Gallagher, because Atletico Madrid said if you want us to buy Conor Gallagher, we have to sell João Felix. End of story. Yeah. And now we're looking and we're hearing the reports we're going to sell João Felix in January when the kid's not even playing. But why is Enzo Maresca not playing him? Is he being told not to play him because they want to get rid of him? Or what's the reason? Because we could do with that sort of player right now where we're not really creating anything. Yesterday's game, what did we really create? 3 good chances, 3 or 4, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like constant chances and we just missed it and we showed intensity and we tried our very best to win the game. I didn't see that. I didn't see that hunger. I didn't see that determination. I didn't see that belief. And this is my point. Enzo Maresca's come out, which the owners won't like, and said, we don't have any captains. We don't have any leaders. Well, what's that down to? That is down to recruitment and not bringing the right age bracket to the club when they clearly said you're not getting anything over age of 24. So Simon Phillips, you melt. You can retract from your statement saying that they're scrapping the under 25, 24 model, because they clearly ain't. But because the results have been going all right so far this season, everyone's gone zippy in Sesame Street. You know what I'm saying? And now this geezer's just come out straight away and landed it for what it is. Saying, Enzo Maresca, basically, you've got to make do with what we give you. And we want you to improve these players because that's what you are, a development coach, because that's where you came from at Man City. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's changed. At the end of the day, everyone thinks Maresca has come in and he's like the new messiah. Yeah, I do like some of the things he does. but he's nowhere near the finished article. He is still a championship level coach who was brought in as a yes man. That is still the case. Nothing has changed. It's just that we've had some decent results which have put a smoke screen over what's going on. Now, the frailties in what Maresca is doing is being highlighted under the spotlight. Now, we saw he needed to make change in the Everton game, but by the time he made change, it was too little, too late. And we all saw in yesterday's game, overall, we probably played okay for 15, 20 minutes in the first half. We created a few decent chances. The Fulham keeper pulled off some really great saves. He kept them in it. No two ways about it. But then Fulham went up a gear and we stayed still. Second half, we didn't even come out. And quite frankly, with Sanchez as well, with his mistakes, I counted 12 mistakes he made.
Yeah,
and
he did.
And that included gifting them the second goal. No wonder Cole Palmer was pissed in his interview. You could just tell by his body language he wasn't happy because he scored a class goal, which all went for nothing. Because at the end of the day, we lost 2-1 and we lost our 45-year record, all as a result of Maresca sitting on his hands again.
And that's a great point. You know, everything you said there is just spot on. And yet Enzo Maresca is backing the Sanchez keeper, knowing that he can't play the way he wants to play. He's actually been kicking the ball out, which is against the philosophy of Enzo Maresca. To make sense of that. He actually, when he was managing Leicester, he said to Leicester goalkeeper, if you kick it out one more time, I'm benching you. Yeah? Mm-hmm. You're going to play the way I'm going to play. Well, why is he not doing the same with Sanchez? You see, he's trying to problem solve, but he hasn't got the experience to problem solve in this league at this level. And he's learning on the job like every other player we've got in this squad. And a great point there by Peter Jump. Salute you, my geezer. If you keep saying to someone, yeah, you can't do this, we're not ready, you can't do it, you're not ready, what does that instill into your mental? That you're not going to do it and you're not ready. But the majority of the time is when you know someone's not ready to do something or they're not capable of doing it, what do? You instill that they can do it so that they believe they can do it. And that will increase the probability of you doing it, even if you're not ready to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you go to the gym and someone sticks on, you know what I'm saying, 100 biscuits and you're going to go, I can't do that. I ain't got the minerals to do that. I can't lift it. Look at the size of me. Yeah. But if someone's with you and they're telling you you can do it, you can lift it, it's all mental, bruv. Yeah. I guarantee you'll be able to lift it. Whether it's once, twice, 3 times, you'll be able to lift it. So Enzo Maresca is instilling a mentality in this club which stems from what's upstairs because there's no pressure. There's no pressure they said there's no pressure to get top 4 as well. But everyone now is settling for, we're not in a title race. We said we weren't in a title race. So now we're not in a title race because we've lost to Fulham. We've drawn to Everton in the squeaky bum time in December where we could really capitalise and put pressure. Because if we did win those 2 games, then you'll be going, we're definitely in a title race, only for it to happen again further down the line. And the point is, yeah, if you've made that, you've fallen at that hurdle. All the supporters are backtracking, going, well, we never said we're in a title race. We're going, we're happy with top 4. Why are you happy with top 4? Because, like you mentioned earlier, Steve, in the show, it's the young demographic of the fan base that these ownership have clinged on to. And they are using that as their tool, because these little kids are all tools, unfortunately, because they don't know any better and they don't understand Chelsea and the heritage and what we understand as the standards and levels at this football club. They're focusing on that demographic and they're feeding on it, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're serving it up using all the usual big accounts, all the platforms to make everyone go, well, we can accept top 4 and a Conference League, and that's a great season. That's development. Why? We're in phase 3. We're not in phase 1. And I don't care whether people want to give it all the big one and cry about that and go, no, we're in phase one under Maresca. No, we're not, mate. We're not. Because as Balaguer's come out, the manager is there to make it work for what the recruitment dictates. So therefore, you're not backing or working or collaborating with a manager. You are collaborating with the model. And if you don't fit that in that piece to make that model work and run smoothly, then forget it. It's not going to work and you're going to be gone. Because it'll be a matter of time where Enzo Maresca, he's Italian, he's hot-blooded. Let's have it right.
Yeah.
He'll do what Poch did last year. He'll come to a point where I've got my own dignity, I've got my own respect. I want to make it in the game. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, everyone's forgetting about all this. I don't. You know what I'm saying? And I've always taken every game in isolation. But yesterday's game was a prime example of you do not lose to Fulham at home, and you do not lose from being ahead. And this team doesn't win at our ground ever. So how do we measure that? We measure that as a fucking disaster, as an embarrassment. You know?
That basically is what we would call Spurs a bottle job, because at the end of the day, we took the lead and lost it. And, we didn't look like we was going to get it back. It just wasn't happening. The mentality, the standards, the levels are all substandard. The majority of the players we've got, let's have it right, out of the 11 we had out on the field, there was probably, in a normal Chelsea side, maybe 3 or 4 that would get in it. The rest of them would just be squad players. Kids just don't have the mentality. That's never going to change, no matter how loud the clowns want to bang a drum and say, oh, yeah, this is the way forward. On paper, it might be the way forward. In their bank accounts, it might be the way forward, but it's not the way a football club runs. There has to be some form of experience. Yeah. I mean, we've been going since 1905. And they're rewriting the rule book in the last 3 years. It's wrong. It's set for failure straight away. I know other teams are trying to copy us with the Man Uniteds and all that, wanting to bring some youth in. That's like putting a Band-Aid on an open wound.
When you say Man United and you look at Arsenal's and all these guys, who are they owned by? Americans.
Yep.
So of course they're going to go with that model. Exactly. They're going to look at that and go, well, how can I make as much profit? Balaguer's come out and openly said they want under 24-year-olds to show, so we get hungry players that can develop and basically increasing their value, which is what? For profitability. It's not for ambition to win, which is why I want to bring up how they've taken the Mikel. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I want to play the clip here. Because we need to address this. This has to be addressed.
If that's the clip I saw earlier of Mikel, I mean, talk about making me rattled. It probably done exactly the same to you.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll be honest. I didn't actually listen to it because I knew
probably just as well.
I'm going to listen to it now. This is the first time I'm going to hear it.
Oh, mate, I was climbing the walls when I heard him. I was like, what you on about?
I've just seen the clip. I haven't actually. I'm sorry. I've just seen the caption. Should I say? I haven't watched it. So I'm going to watch it. We're going to watch it right now.
Sweet.
We're going to play it. Let's see what John Obi Mikel's got to say.
And we're all talking about it, the 2 billion that we've spent. Now we can see that the project is working. It was a clear picture that they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they've done it. They've gotten rid of players that they don't want, that the club don't need, that Maresca said from the start of the season, I don't want these players. So
this is after our third manager, John, that you're saying we're getting rid of players that we don't need, players that they've bought since they've walked through the door, players that they've stripped that had won us Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup, that been with the standards of Don Roman that brought you to our football club, that got your dad out of fucking hostage. Yep. Like, what are we doing here? It's working. On what grounds is it working when we're just about halfway through the season, and this is coming out after us bottling it and losing to Fulham at home and drawing to Everton?
It makes it all the worse, the fact he's saying it now after the last 2 games we've had, and he's saying it's working. He's deluded.
And I've got rid of those players. And now the players that we have in the team, everybody's performing well. The team is playing well, and we can see that the project that they have is moving on fine. So, I mean, credit to them, credit to Todd, credit to Baghdad, credit to Paul.
Easy. Why is it credit to all these lot? I'll tell you why it's credit, because you're sitting in a box with them. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All smiles. All right. When it should have been Chelsea smiles, but it was all smiles, wasn't it? Yeah. When you were crying and on your knees for Osimhen to sign for Chelsea under these clowns because you were going to get a nice percentage out of that. Yeah. But it was only the finer details that didn't go through. No, it wasn't the fact that Egbali would only offer 150 grand a week to Osimhen. You didn't want to splurt that one out because, well, let's have it right. You've admitted, clear as day on your last podcast before this, saying, yeah, they're watching. They're very happy with the work we do on here. And, you know, they're always watching. Well, clearly, these brown envelopes are getting deposited onto your podcast because you're crediting these directors and these owners for achieving and delivering absolutely fuck all for the last 2 years into our 3rd year. Is that the standards, John Obi Mikel, of Chelsea Football Club as you know it? Absolutely not. So what are we doing here?
And the rest of the team, they've done an absolutely fantastic job.
What are we doing here?
I told you, bruv, as soon as I saw that clip earlier, it was like, what the fuck are you on about? That isn't the same team I know.
He's sad. He's really sad to see a legend of our club basically taking handouts.
Yeah.
It's fucking, it's so upsetting. Because we rely on our legends. And people go, Johnny, what are you coming at him because he's speaking that we're doing? What are we doing that's great? What are the fucking standards right now? It's working. The project's working. I bet he's crying out for a striker, but no, we created a monster. Yeah. I bet he's crying out for a better goalkeeper. I bet deep down he's looking at our defence going, I've had Cavalios. I've had John Terry's. I've had Cahill. I've had Ashley Cole. I've had Aspilicueta. I've had Ivanovic. And he's looking at this lot going, oh, yeah. These lot are going to go all the way. Of course they are. I've had Lampard in the middle. Essien. You know what I'm saying? Mata. Hazard. Drogba. Diego Costa. What are we doing here? Like, what are we brown-nosing, John? Fucking embarrassing.
No, it is. He had the perfect platform to go on and continue the truth narrative, but it was so obvious after suddenly he appeared at Cobham, and then the next thing up in the director's box that he had totally swayed, exactly how Benson and all of the others have done it. They suddenly get a little invite down to Cobham. They're sat in a room and in brown envelopes under the table, and it's like, thank you very much. And suddenly they're a totally changed character when it comes to YouTube.
Tap, Steve. Tap. Like, I get it. You want to build your platform, but this is the price these lot pay. This is what all these platforms do. No matter how big they are, how small they are, if we can get to them, we can take them and get them under our side. Yeah. Then we will do wonders for you.
Yeah. There's very few that keep the truth narrative going, former player-wise. The likes of your Frank Leboeuf, maybe, he's one of the exceptions because he's never really swayed from when he came out against them in our first season underneath them to now. He says, I've seen signs of improvement, but we're not back. And that's all we keep hearing. And quite frankly, last time I was at the bridge, as soon as I started hearing we are back, it's like, you lot are all tourists. You don't know you're born.
Yeah. I'm actually disgusted with this. And I knew it just from reading the caption. I knew it. I just knew it.
Oh, mate. I saw it earlier and it popped up and I thought, what's this about? And as soon as I watched it, it had the red mist descended. Quite frankly, if Mikel's lucky he don't live near me, I would have been knocking on his door.
Let's have it right. Someone put this up. They're not
Fucking
wrong.
Facts.
Facts.
Yeah. The only difference is he's probably Egg Barley putting the money in his mouth rather than Uncle Todd. Todd's probably sitting on a beach somewhere with two blondes on his right arm.
Do you know what? Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. It's you know what? Yeah, they're doing this to everyone, bruv. They're doing this to everyone. Yeah, you'll never get me. Let's have it right. Never. And yet I'm the one that's targeted, and people hate on me and want to give it and tarnish my name. You frauds. You embarrassing muppets. Literally.
I'm like everyone else that's in the chat now on your stream. I see the way people come at you, and the issue is nobody else is landing truth 24/7. At some point, a lot of them are deviating, and they suddenly are talking all positive. Now, if we had a club to feel positive about, I'm sure you'd be the most positive person out there because you've got nothing at all to sort of like disagree with. But you're calling out the lies and all of the brown envelopes that are going on social media, and they don't like it because you're calling them out for what they are, and that is a bunch of wrongs.
Facts. And do you know what they go? They go, oh, look, he's waiting for this. He wants it. No, I'm not. In fact, why is it I'm doing a stream after every single game, win, lose or draw? Why is it that I call it out and be real? Because you don't want to watch. You don't pay attention. You don't listen to what I say. You listen to what you want to hear to suit your agenda or me personally, because it's a personal vendetta. When the reality is, I love my club and I want my club to be where it was fucking left when these clowns bought it. Yeah. And they clearly ain't doing what our Don Roman was doing with our football club. And here you are, all of these lots sitting there thinking, yeah, we'll buy into this just so that we can fucking come at Johnny because he's the only one that was landing it. And you're all coming out of woodwork going, I'm right. It's not about being right. It's not about that. It's about standing up for what is right.
Standards,
mentality, Chelsea mentality. And already people going, we got our Chelsea back. Fucking hell. I don't, honestly, I don't know what to say. I really, if you honestly believe that we got our Chelsea back, then mate.
if Chelsea was back, we would be shouting it from the rooftops.
Facts.
They'd be bunting out. It'd be like the Jubilee all over again because we've been missing for the past 3 years. And the fact that we've not moved on, we've had so many managers, all who have been clueless. And Maresca, let's face it, all the rumblings about him have been positive until you're starting to see chinks in his armour. And that is appearing more vividly now with the way that he's acting because he's inconsistent with his attitude, as you highlighted earlier, to certain players. And he's also inconsistent with his in-game tactics. And it's leaving us wanting.
Yeah. This. I'm just going to put Steve's Twitter in the chat, guys. Yeah, so you can go and follow Steve on X. Yeah, I'll put it in there. Smash the like button, everyone. I know the likes are piss poor, so let's get them up. Yeah, let's have it right. So the bottom line is this: look at what we're up against, and what's even more ridiculous is that he's bringing it up. They're bringing up that nonsense after a loss at home. Chelsea's recruitment team could recoup. Listen to this waffle from Blue Coat Extra. Yeah, bought account. Let's have it right. Chelsea's recruitment team could recoup over 150 million if permanent solutions are found for these players. Let me list you the players, mate. Yeah. Chukwuemeka, Chilwell Sterling, Cassidy, Vale, Matos, Drewsbury Weddinall, Humphreys, Disasi, Trev Chalobah. They want to flog them all.
And that's without what they bought. Yeah, and that's without what players we've got out on loan as well, which no doubt are all in the shop window while they're out on loan.
Yeah, And another thing, Steve, we forgot to mention is Renato Viega was left out for the same reason as Madueke. That's what they're saying. So we got now Renato Viega, we got Madueke, we got João Felix, we got Drewsbury Wennell, who apparently is injured. How's he fucking injured? He hardly plays. What are we doing here? Do we believe that? We've been told Chilwell's been ill when he's not. He's fully fit and ready to go. Yeah.
The thing is, the club's own PR is highlighting what lies are going on, because if you see some of the clips that are shown during the day of training videos, you see Chilwell running around in it. You see Noni and Renato having a laugh, seem very much part of the group, part of the whole sort of scenario of team building. But then Maresca leaves them out, which doesn't make sense, because it's not which one's true. Maresca or the videos, we see them laughing and joking around with the other players. It's all contradictory.
You know, we're in the mud at the minute in terms of people are buying into what they've been fed, and because of one loss, people are calling out things, right? The difference between me and every single one of these other ones, all right, is I call it out every single time. That's why yesterday I was pissed off and embarrassed and rattled, but it was like nothing's changed. Everything I've been saying is what it is, and you're coming out crying. We haven't got enough depth in the midfield. We need a striker. We need to bring back Santos. The players are tired. Yeah. But yet you're the ones going, our recruitment's fantastic. Well done to the directors. The owners know what they're doing. We're back. Chelsea's cooking. We're not in a title race, but really secretly we think we are. Yeah. But when we spent 1.5 billion in phase 3, make it make sense. Like, what are we doing here? We're flip-flopping here. They're flip-flopping.
Yeah, this is it. The club are highlighting everything they're doing wrong, and then in the second hand, they're getting some of the other people that are on the payroll to put out positive news. It's like when we had a good run of results, suddenly there was talk about, look at the shirt sponsor that's coming in. We've got Ryanair, we've got Qatar, we've got Mercedes.
Jordan's come in,
and guess what? As soon as these two bad results have come along, when was the last time you heard anyone mention about the sponsor? It's all dropped off the radar.
Yeah, and why don't we have a sponsor as Chelsea Football Club halfway through the season?
Bad businessmen as owners. It's as simple as that.
It's mad to me. Everyone's forgotten about the usual, they trademarked the name Chelsea and the Chelsea.
Yeah.
They've forgotten about taking our 2 hotels and the Cobham training ground and the car park. They've forgotten about all that. Yeah. They've forgotten about... Go on, Steve. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the fact they've still got Stoll Mansions that never went into Chelsea's name. It went straight into Blueco's.
There you
go. Every asset that the club had is now under the name Blueco. And for anyone that thinks that that basically means it's owned by Chelsea, it doesn't. It's a separate company to Chelsea. So suddenly now, for those who might be interested to know, if Chelsea was sold, it would be sold without those assets unless Blueco agree to sell it all totally separately, which is going to be for a hell of a lot more money, because money talks with these Americans. They couldn't give a shit about you, me, or the lamppost. They just want what's in your wallet.
And this is my point. They've got no loyalty or care to these players. These players are just human assets. That's what they are. And they'll take the gamble on them and they'll sell them and flog them off if they don't sign contracts, if they don't do as they're told. Well, isn't it interesting? The whole Mudryk situation's gone completely quiet. We're waiting for the sample B to come to fruition. All right. The civil war between the ownership's gone to pot. We don't know what's going on with that one. All right. Like, I don't forget about all these things. And the thing is, right, it's a results business. We know that. If we're winning games, we've got no reason to be pissed off. We've got no reason to be upset. you know, and I'm happy for that. But at the same time, all right, I don't want to just win some games this season and get a top 4 and that's it. I don't think people realise, this is the best. This is probably the best opportunity to win the Premier League in the current state we're in. And the reason I say that is every other team that should be or normally is up there are a long way from it. All right. And they're going through a lot of shit, including Man City, who we would have put as the favourites, which we did at the start of the season.
Yeah,
Look where they
without
are
a doubt.
now, with a few injuries and one of the main injuries in their Ballon d'Or. Do you know what I'm saying, player?
Yeah.
But what, we don't think that they're going to improve next year? Do you think if we do get Champions League and we're playing Champions League football, we can do A, B, C teams? It ain't washing, yeah? So are we going to have that consistency in the league and play Champions League football when most of these players haven't even played Champions League football? Like, what planet are people on?
No, the people don't realise that if we are lucky enough to make Champions League or even Europa football, because nothing's for certain, especially in this league at the moment and the way that we're playing, things will change because we can't have the amount of players we've got once we're up into the upper leagues, because you might only want to change 3 or 4 players between a league game to a European game to keep that consistency, that fitness. You cannot do it. So suddenly there's going to be another mass exodus of players being sold off. So this January, I see us selling as many as humanly possible and probably nobody coming in, even though we probably do need some people coming in because our defence is shocking. A goalkeeper is shit. And as for Jackson, I've got no words for him. You know, I think I've thought of every single word I could think of his ability, and it's gone out the window.
And people are blaming, not blaming, people are defending these players, bigging them up, but yet they come at players that actually delivered our football club when they actually had standards at this football club. And now their agendas have to change, their standards have changed, therefore they're back in mediocrity and not elite levels. And yet they're pushing out these narratives. That's what I can't accept. I just can't. And John Obi Mikel's a prime example of that right now.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, Mikel was a good player. To me, he was never what I would call a legend. He was like right on the fringe of it, you know, because he was in the time period of legends. So he got a legendary status by association. Now, no, that's not taking nothing away from him because he did play quite an important role when he was in the team. And he had the perfect opportunity to create his own web space and be who he was. But instead, he's decided to put all his eggs in one basket and follow Clearlake as the Messiah. And it's the wrong way to go. I mean, you look at someone like John Terry. Now, he's still active within the club, but he has nothing to do with the first team. He stays out of it. You never see him in any pressers. All you ever do is see him where he's training with the youth or the women's team or doing good deeds as an ambassador for the club. So he's still on the payroll, but he's having nothing to do with all of the PR stuff. But you think just before Clearlake came in, who were the club ambassadors? You had all your people like your Nevins, even your
by the way, Pat Nevin got dismissed and sacked because he called out the ownership.
Neil Barnett.
Yeah, Neil Barnett as well, another one. Yeah.
All of the associations we had with former past pop stars like Suggsy and even Damon Albarn and people like that, you know, they're considered the older generation now. They're not the demographic Clearlake want. They want youngsters because they want the fan base to go totally hand in hand with the PlayStation mentality of, you know, what's your FIFA rating rather than what are they actually really like on a grass pitch.
Yeah. And also, that's why Jason Cundy won't do what a Pat Nevin done and speak his mind. And that's why he's on TalkSport on a podcast now, a YouTube channel. And now they're trying to do it with other teams all of a sudden. Ironic that, interestingly. But look at who goes on now. Like, look at the people that are coming on. Look at where they come from, what platforms, what channels, what's their aim? Is their aim to whether you go to games or not? It makes no fucking difference. It really don't actually at this point. It really don't.
I'd like to see one of our players, you know, apart from Cole Palmer, because in his interview yesterday, you could tell he was unhappy. He didn't really want to talk, and you know he was showing it. But other than players going up to the away support and home support and applauding, like "thanks for coming" type thing, you're not really seeing it on any level. On a fun note, just changing it very slightly. Did you see the goal? The end of 90-minute celebration by the Watford player yesterday? His name was Baah. He came out and he'd done the loser dance to Portsmouth, and he got sent off for it after the final whistle. That was absolutely elite. He went up to the manager, the players, and all of the fans with the old loser sign doing the dance. He landed it. He made me smile.
Oh, come on. Big up Stretters. Let's have it right. Met some of the firm yesterday, I hear. A little birdie tells me. Big up to Stretters. He says, Mikel follows narratives for clicks to grow for the pound note. In a real world, it's called being a prostitute. It's not wrong.
Well, don't tell Jackson about it. He's always up for a bit of that.
Yeah, he's up for a bit of slosh pot wet. Where is slosh pot wet, by the way? She's gone very quiet recently. She made enough money now?
Yeah. Now, I think she's probably touting it around for probably some Saudi team through a glory hole.
Glory. Big up to Boo. She says, Meatloaf and Siri kissed and made up in the rat tunnel. Yeah, the famous rat tunnel. All the ultras know about the rat tunnel, bro. Come on. Smash the likes, everyone. Respect to everyone getting the chat. Ipswich is going to be a very tough game, but this is where I want to see what the mentality is like of these players and this team. I want to see it. I want to see what the mentality is about, because I cannot afford to lose to them or draw to them. It needs to be a win. It has to be a win.
I mean, well, obviously, the Gooners are at home playing Ipswich. It's 8:15 tonight, so we shall get a taster.
Yeah, facts. And someone's brought up Enzo Fernandez. Ironically, he says we don't hide. He says ready for the next one. Trying to play the main character syndrome of captain. Well, where was he against Fulham as a captain? Because I see him on his arse majority of the game and giving balls away and making his teammate work even harder to cater for him being in the midfield. Talk is cheap. Talk is always cheap. I'm sick of all this PR and talk. Just fucking land it and get on with it. You know?
Yeah, say the truth and do your talking on the pitch.
You know what I'm saying? That's the only way I see it.
No,
I'm
sick
tired
to
of
death
it.
of it, mate. Yeah, the same as you. It's draining. I've been supporting this club since the age of 4, which is quite a while ago. But I've seen so much change. But I hate the liars, and I hate the way that they're disrespecting the club's name, the heritage. That hurts me more than any loss. I wouldn't mind losing to Fulham 5-0. I'd happily take a loss to Fulham 5-0 if we played with every ounce of our ability, but they were just better on the day. But that's not the case. We're playing shit, and our manager has got the mentality of a championship level coach. And he's not proved to me one bit he's pulling the strings of any of these players. In fact, I'd actually say he's responsible now for causing a bit of a dressing room divide.
I would agree with that, and I think there is actually a divide right now. I can see the divide appearing. I can see it.
Yeah.
There's too much. There's too many murmurs of all this stuff now, where he's having to make up a reason for certain players not being in the squad. Lavia's gone injured again.
Yep.
You know, Mudueke been thrown out. Felix looking to be sold, and he's all of a sudden shoehorned on Enzo Maresca and he can't get a tune. Like, Enzo Maresca's not going to want to play like João Felix. Is this a joke? Like, out of what he's got. And again, why are we adamant to always play Cole Palmer in the 10 when we know his output on the right wing is crazy? Last year spoke and let everyone know. It's proven facts what he does on the right. So in the game, let's mix it up a little bit and let's try to have Felix in there. You know?
We had nothing to lose with Felix out on the bench, even Mark Yu. I mean, you know, he's a bit of an unknown quantity. Throw him in there because Fulham probably had their game plan set out on who they knew that they'd be playing against and their tactics. Throw them a curveball. Suddenly just swap it for a few players they're not expecting on and give it to them straight up to Jaxie.
Yeah. And Cole Palmer, you saw him yesterday. He looked pissed. And rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
For me, Neto looked like he'd lost a yard of pace. He looked like he was knackered.
Yeah. But why should we say why he's knackered? Because the geezer's having to track back to help our defence and deficiencies in defence. And that's what he's doing. And credit to him. But you got pies and mash going, oh, Neto, he hasn't really done much up front. But credit to him. Incredible for him to be so defensively and putting the work rate when we were coming at other players because of their work rate and maybe their output wasn't as good. But now that narrative doesn't suit this, so we're going to put it onto this player because we like this player and we've got to back this player and we've got to fucking overhype it when the reality is Neto hasn't really performed at the levels we know he has and what he's capable of. But he shouldn't have to be fucking defending. What's he defending for? He should be at the top of the pitch causing havoc, putting those delicious balls in the box for our striker or Cole Palmer to get onto and score goals, bro, and create. We can't just rely on Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, he was quiet for me again. You can't rely on the kid,
with Palmer. Yeah, with Palmer, it's just that moment of brilliance, and you think, okay, it was worth having him on the team sheet. But even at half time, I would have been half tempted to have just swapped it right off and just put Q and Felix on and maybe taken Palmer and Jackson off. Just to try it. Why not?
And Sancho as well, for that matter. The thing is, right, do you not think that Palmer needs a bit of rest as well, bruv? I mean, the geezer's playing every single game. You played him pretty much carrying an injury against Arsenal because you're so desperate and dependent on him, all right? Everyone remembers that. Remember, he got, who was it? Was it the United game? And they went down, it should have been a red card. I can't remember which United player it was. But he was carrying that. We weren't sure. He was had an ice pack on him. Maybe him and Casado are the most pivotal players in this team, and I think without them, we are stuffed. We're done, and that tells you exactly about how we've bought and how we've assembled this squad.
Yeah, you know I don't think the squad is reliant too much on certain players. And where Maresca is struggling is when his B plan isn't there. Now, we were weak yesterday on the bench because he dropped Madueke and Viega. But that was on him. So that's a management decision. That's got nothing to do with the players. That's him. So this is his ego. Yeah. A lot of it is an ego because all the Leicester guys that I know say that Maresca has such a big ego about every decision he makes. As far as he's concerned, it's his way or the highway in any type of thing. And if that means hurting the team, he'll do it.
Yeah. And this is where we are now. I also think that if you're actually crying about Madueke and Viega not being an option on the bench, then that tells you the first team is not looking as healthy as you are claiming it to be. Because why are we relying on that?
Of course.
Well, I mean, why?
We shouldn't have to at the end of the day.
We shouldn't have to. Against Fulham.
If we were playing Arsenal or Liverpool, it's a different story. But the thing is, if we were playing Arsenal or Liverpool now, we'd probably get torn a new one because they'll just rip through our defence because it's like paper. Unless we've got Lavia playing, so at least we've got that Lavia, Casado and Enzo triangle. We are so weak and people get past us, no problem. And with Jackson up front, we're not getting anything down the other end because a quality team are just going to shut us out.
Facts. Absolute facts. That's where we are, Stevie.
But, you know, it is where it is. We have the room to maybe get a result over Ipswich, but who knows? I mean, let's see what Arsenal do to them in a couple of hours.
Let's see what the Arsenal result is, but they could go up. If they do win, they go a point up, a point above us. I don't write off Ipswich. I think Ipswich have got something in their locker. They're at home, but
They're a
the
physical
reality
team,
is everyone's beating everyone. But I feel like we've landed it. I think we've going by this game and everything that's flown about. I think we've nailed it. Exposed everything that needs to be exposed. We know what our strengths are. We know what the weaknesses are. We know what the issues are, and it still hasn't changed. Let's have it right. We will keep landing it. But anything else you want to add to the chat, Steve?
Well, changing the context slightly, although still Chelsea related, at this time of year, obviously, it is a time of year for family. And to many of us out there, you know, we may not have our family around us. There might be some that we've lost over the recent times. So it's always a time to sort of think of others. Some of you that know me know that I volunteer at Christmas time for Help for Heroes and also for the Chelsea pensioners. So this year, I've done 3 days so far at the Royal Marsden Hospital, where I laid some flowers for Viali when he passed away there. And I went over to Kingston Hospital with the women's team when they went into the children's ward and stuff like that. They was handing out toys and photographs, and it was a terrific morale booster. It was really lovely to see some kids that were spending time in hospital over Christmas, totally down in the dumps and sad, to suddenly come in contact with some of our women's team who handed out merchandise, hugs and kisses. You know, they were really lovely. And it made some of those kids' days. And finally, I used to do some charity work over at a place called Denville Hall in Northwood. I know it doesn't mean anything to the majority of people, but that's where Richard Attenborough, our former life president, he passed away there, as did his wife. And I'd just like to say, when I met Richard many times, he would spare the time to have a cup of tea with you, tell you about all his Chelsea stories, because he had 1,000,001 Chelsea stories, and his life in the Hollywood movies, like, you know, Jurassic Park and Miracle on 34th Street and stuff like that. He was a big name. So spare a thought for anyone you know that's maybe old or that lives on their own. You know, just a simple knock at the door, how are you, and stuff like that goes a long way. So I hope all of you have a brilliant Christmas and a happy new year. And above all, keep it real, keep it Chelsea, and listen to Johnny.
Yeah, come on, Stevie. Class, absolute top class, respect. And hopefully people learn a valuable lesson now, and a great words of wisdom now from Steve, and for the channel and for the platform. So that's class, top class. And salute to Jean-Luc Viali and Attenborough as well. Come on, legends. Listen, everyone, smash the like, hit the subscribe, all that. Put all your comments down below. We'd love to hear what you got to say in reaction to the stream. We'll have Steve on again, as you know. And tomorrow I'll be going on with Eunice at about 5 p.m. tomorrow. So make sure you are tuned in with that. That's going to be a cracker. And many more streams to come, as always. And we'll just keep continuing and plowing through and landing the true minerals and saying it as it is, because let's have it right. That's all we know. We don't know anything else, bruv. So respect to everyone. As always, we'll leave you with our Don Roman. You know what I'm saying? That's what we are. Standards, elite mentality, no surrender. Come on. And salute to our Chelsea old boys and all those that are not with us. RIP all the Chelsea. And I'll see you tomorrow. Big up to you, Steve. Thank you very much for coming on, my geezer. Always a pleasure. And we'll be back as always. Up the Chelsea, up the Minerals FC. Let's go. Roman Abramovich.